Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now. Hey, what's happening? It's Monday, July 8th. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend. Holy shit.
Hot.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Real
it's like
warm.
summer, but this is like summer plus.
Yeah,
Summer
usually we
extra.
don't get this until like the August, September. Man, we're getting hit.
It's happening. I don't know how far news has spread by this Monday, but I live in a small neighborhood in Los Angeles called Sunland, and Sunland Tahunga is the proper title for this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a very silly or very small, 4th of July parade every year. We've been doing this, since we've lived here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually, it's like the LAPD rides through on their motorcycles in formation and does, kind of show of like paramilitary sort of force, just let everybody know we live in a police state. So usually starts it off. Everybody waves their flags. Hey, we're here. And then they used to have trash trucks. The trash trucks would come down and move their, the lifter things up and down.
And all the kids go crazy.
Yeah, the trash trucks, and then Cub Scouts, the football team. We also have the oldest rock in Tahunga. It comes through in a case. It's a very, very old rock.
Like an actual rock?
It's an actual rock, yeah. It's known as the oldest rock in Sunland.
Wow, how'd they find that thing?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be so, it would be so weird to be that rock and you're just sitting there going like, it's only me.
Yeah, it's all about
and then
me
where did
right now.
how did it make all the other rocks? Where did all the other rocks come from?
I'm assuming
amazing.
somebody knows what they're doing, or it's all just a big goof, but it's hilarious to see it every year. But
Yeah.
this year we had the Grand Marshal, or the special guest was veteran actor Danny Trejo.
No way.
Was riding in there. And just like one parking lot north, they just come down Foothill Boulevard, which is our kind of like a little Main Street area. And we always go sit in the same place. And the big thing about the parade is that everybody comes out with like squirt guns and water balloons. It's a big thing, for like the high school football team will like squirt all the kids, and the kids will squirt all them. They'll throw water balloons, and the Cub Scouts will do the same thing. Last year I walked in the parade with my kids, Cub Scout troop, and they squirted everybody.
Okay.
I pulled the wagon with the buckets of water on it. And and so it's always a very water thing, and this year we were running across the street squirting, school friends, elementary school friends, like where they were across the street. We were on the one side, we were going back and forth having water wars. But apparently they don't tell the guests this. There's water balloons and water guns. So veteran 80-year-old actor Danny Trejo was riding in a classic lowrider car, convertible, waving at everybody, and apparently gets hit with a water balloon. And so this 80-year-old man, who was very well known, gets out of his car and goes to throw a punch at this guy who he thinks threw the water balloon. And there's cell phone footage of this happening. It's on TMZ. It's made the local news that Danny Trejo got in a fight at the Sunland 4th of July parade.
I mean, he's still got it.
Yeah. He's not a punk ass bitch. He's not gonna let somebody throw a water balloon at him. He got out there. He's gonna go scrap it up.
Yeah, what do you expect Danny Trejo to do?
Hilarious.
I mean,
he's machete.
That's I mean, I guess that is something that who's like whoever's producing the parade every year is like, I forgot to put page 36 into the.
This is why we can't have nice things here in Sunland,
and they're like, well, no, it says it on this page that
you will get hit.
There's going to be water balloons. They're like, we don't have that page in the PDF. And they're looking through. I'm like, oh my god, the water balloon page didn't make it in this year.
I mean, they should have had it set up to where it was Danny Trejo like on the back of a Humvee with 40 other of guys there all shooting water guns back at everybody else. He should have had the biggest water supply and gotten everybody drenched. He could have gotten into it, but I just have a feeling that nobody said anything. Like, it's just a nice, quiet.
He should have had like a full-on water cannon on the back of the Hummer.
Yeah, like or standing there with rode on a fire truck or something and just had the fire truck hose going out and hosing everybody down. That would have been hilarious.
Wow. Yeah.
No, I guess hindsight's 2020. So that was our...
Well, you got to make it into the press somehow, Yeah,
there's no such thing
he
as
did
bad
it.
Press
He did it maybe I'll get out there with the people and get my name back in the in the papers a little bit. And he did it.
Publicity, yeah.
He really did it.
And then you see the video of him. He goes to throw the punch, and then then the guy throws a big wide punch, and Danny Trejo ducks down, which is good. You can tell he knew what he was doing. He gets down there, and then before Danny can get back up, his buddy that was with him comes up, and then the local just clocks Danny Trejo's friend, like takes him off of his feet. It's one of those like big wide punches. When you see real street fights, they're not like boxing matches. People are just throwing wide, crazy arms. But this guy, the local, took out Danny's friend and like literally knocked him off of his feet. Just like took him back like 4 feet off the ground.
So this was like a real, this guy wasn't just like some dad out there like, oh, no. He was like, oh, I'm here for this.
I mean,
wow.
As far as Sunland is
exciting.
In Southern California, there's a lot of excited people that live in this part of town, but it's not necessarily across one way or the other politically or any other kind of way. I think it's a big affordable neighborhood in Southern California, and that's what
we're like up here in the mountains too. You get all walks of life. Politically, it's pretty much like down the middle somewhere. It's like 50-50.
One guy was having his own little parade. He had a big life-size cardboard cutout of Donald Trump that he was just walking through with. This kind of old white guy who's wanted to let everybody know Donald Trump is a person.
Yeah,
and
we get a lot of that.
And he got drenched, which was hilarious. Everybody just hit him with water balloons and just. I think we just go after the cardboard cutout. I think the cardboard cutout by then was just falling apart in his hands. It's like. Why'd you bring cardboard to a water gun fight, buddy?
Yeah, right. Next year he'll have to do a plastic sign, something a little more, or maybe covered in plastic, maybe a big pplastic bag with the Donald Trump 2024 in there.
I do not know, but we've had Adam Schiff, the congressional, right? He's our Senate. He was the one who kind of opened up a lot of the investigations, against Trump, and he was a very big anti-Trump person while Trump was in office, and that was cool. He's our local representative here in this area. You know what I mean? So it's it's one of those things. You're like, well, it's not really one way or the other, but everybody's got an opinion. This is sort of in those parts of America where it's it's not a bubble. It's not a mono culture here in Sunland. It's very much there's a debate. There's an active.
Do you guys feel like, because I feel like when I moved up here, the one thing I realized is most of the conversations, people just don't really talk about it. Like there's a lot less, like when in LA, there was a lot more political conversations.
When everybody most of it was on the same side,
coming from the left, and but there were still like people talked about politics, what's going on. And then up here, most people are like, that's not even part of, that doesn't come up unless it's the like, well, Gavin Newsom just wants to tax the hell out of us. That's pretty much, that's like as far as it gets. And then,
I think
the conversations are much different.
I think everybody kind of knows it's not a given what side anybody's on, so it's a I don't know. It's unique.
People don't want to people just don't want to get into it, which makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's something about me that I've noticed within my own sort of psychological makeup, whatever this means, is, I definitely find myself when it's all one way, no matter which way that is, if it's all left or all right, I just shut down. You know what I mean? I just can't, when it's preaching to the choir, it definitely doesn't feel, there's not really much of a conversation to be had. It's like, we all think this way. Yes, we do. You're
just talking about the same stuff.
You just kind of, or then it becomes, especially on the left side, it can become very virtue signaling. Like, well, I only have these kinds of juice boxes, and my children only wear these kinds of shoes, and that kind of stuff is like, oh God, I can't hang with that for that long either. Versus look at my gun, look at this, look at my new big boat, look at my big truck. Which is kind of the other side of virtue signaling on the right. My arsenal's bigger than your arsenal. I got, I don't know, RPGs.
Yeah. We were out at the lake yesterday swimming around, and then, there's 1,000 people out there on boats and stuff.
Yeah.
And the majority of it, is people with nothing. And then there's the people with some red, white, and blue stuff and like some t-shirts and hats and whatever. And then you get the big boat with the Boaters for Trump 2024 flags. And they're just like slowly maneuvering between everybody in the like
the turd in the punch bowl.
The bay where there's no waves and everybody kind of like, puts their boats in or, puts their anchors in and just hangs out. And you're like, but then you see all the people on that boat and you're like, well, yeah. I mean, you didn't really need the flags.
You'd expect. We'd know this anyway. Like, you see the Coors Light cans and the
glasses and the hats and the like. It just
you could have guessed.
Yeah. And it's a lot of like. There's a lot of people up here that have their weekend houses that are like Orange County and
gotcha.
A lot of money.
Yep.
And you see that like that kind of comes out, and that's like, yeah, this isn't the normal, the average weekend. This is the big
4th of July.
This is where everybody brings out the big guns.
Yeah, I got something to say. It's like the Thanksgiving table, like the whole town is your Thanksgiving table. Like, let me tell you something. Like, no, don't tell me anything.
I didn't order these big boat flags from China for nothing. Let's go.
This is my moment to tell everybody exactly what I think.
Look at how strong he looks on this flag.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's American eagles, the bald eagles, every kind of eagle. Got them all.
That's the one thing I could see Sutherland Tahunga being a much more right sort of place. And maybe it is, but again, the vocalization is it's comparatively speaking, it's still Southern California.
Yeah.
And so it feels like there's enough left stuff happening here to kind of balance it all
I mean,
out.
that's what it feels like up here too. It's like, I think that the people that have more conservative views up here are maybe a little louder or show it a little bit more.
More flags on the trucks.
Yeah. Just like, I mean, when I get my tax bills, I understand it a little bit. And you're like, wait, really? I don't really make, okay. So you're saying, okay, I don't make that much money. That's a lot of taxes. But so I can understand the thought process, I guess, of that. But it's mostly based off of that, of like, you're taking all my stuff. I'm like, okay,
calm down.
It's a little tiny part of what politics is. And whatever. This is again, we're gonna
solve the world's problems.
Fix this.
Yes, yeah. I don't know.
We have 20 more minutes to fix this. Randy.
It definitely feels like the 4th of July in this particular election year. It just has this kind of ominous sort of feeling. I think it'd be hard not to at least talk about it a little bit, just in the sense of what
for
the
sure.
fuck after that debate and after all this stuff, and then you're going to this,
and you feel like you're just in Groundhog's Day, but the groundhog just keeps getting older and more senile.
God.
So they pop out of the hole and just go, honestly, I don't know where I am. I don't know.
God damn.
I don't know if it's the same day or not. Or are we? Where am I? Am I still a groundhog? I don't even know. I'm going to go to bed. I can't go to bed. There's nowhere to sleep.
Yeah. Who am I?
Yeah. They made it illegal to sleep if you don't have a house.
Oh, Jesus. So Devin Sarno, we've been talking about doing this episode for a while.
Yeah, this one's been in the can What, for like a month?
Yeah,
Something
I
like that?
think so. It's so hard. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm still learning how to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm probably the worst to the people I know the best. You know, it's like, okay, well, they're good friends. I'm just gonna leave this one in the can until I need a time. But it's not true. I mean,
Well,
I have a lot of really good ones. There's more. Like I want to. I mean, I almost feel like I could put out 2 interviews a week. Like the amount of the ones I have in the
you've been doing
hopper.
a
You
lot
know,
lately,
but
right? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But it's fun. And I love doing the interviews. So sometimes it's just it's like I almost got to like stop scheduling interviews till I get through more of the backlog.
Well, Devin's
You
is
know?
also pretty timeless, though. Like, he's not
Yes.
talking about anything specific, like an album or
I
anything.
think that's what happened too. Is I had a couple that were like, around releases. You know, I mean, with like Steven,
Yeah,
had a record dropping, and Bothering the
totally.
Band had a 200th episode they were looking to hit. And,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, I love this though, and I love it's so cool how you met Devin when you were younger, and for me, I didn't meet Devin until we had the gallery,
Mm-hmm.
and and it wasn't until, I mean, maybe about halfway through or a little bit farther in he and Kelly and their kid would always come to the all the openings,
Oh yeah,
but I didn't. But Devin stands out so much.
he
Like, I don't
does.
even. It's hair. It's just his look, like his demeanor. His like, he's just that guy that's like, who is that guy? And then realizing like, oh, that's that guy I've seen at like every show I've gone to for the last 10 years in LA. He's like at the Smell, or he's at he just was always in the audience somewhere, and so I recognized him, and then he came up, and he I think it was Kelly did a little write up on the gallery, his wife,
Oh yeah.
and then Devin took some photos of us, and that's how we originally met. And then I feel like everybody that I know that has met Devin, it just like, yeah, now you're lifelong friends with Devin.
To know him is to
Because
love him. Yeah.
yeah, totally, 100%. And it was always like, um, he brought me in to pitch for some like video stuff a couple times, and always would always would have a connection of like, oh, you should meet this person or this person there, and was always very supportive of kind of whatever I was doing, and would show up at shows. And and then also I've gone out, I mean, when you guys played together, I think I came
Oh
and
yeah.
shot some photos and maybe a little video, and then I've seen him play with Tim. Oh yeah, we did the Big Butter thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I
Yep.
did some video for that, and yeah, so it's been one of those things. Like, at least when I was in LA, every
Every art
six
gallery
months,
opening, you'd see
yeah,
him
every
out there.
6 months there was
Yeah.
like some kind of little project that
Was
Devin was
happening.
involved in. Yeah,
Oh, I know. I feel like post pandemic things have just slowed down, or I've slowed down. I don't go out as much, and it's obviously time with the kids and whatnot. But,
yeah, 100%.
but yeah, no, I've always been such a fan of Devin. Like I said, like talk about in the interview, but I met him, as a fan, as a young kid, and so it was kind of one of those names of like, oh, whoa, this is that guy, and then
Yeah,
kind of getting to be friendly down the road. It was really like, this is surreal. Like this is crazy. But then you can sort of get it. Like we always talk about that. That's sort of the Southern California thing. Like you go, you have a good attitude. You put your hand out, and you get involved. You start mixing. You
yeah,
do what you love. But I loved his story too. Of like I think I led led the episode with it. But being 16 years old and having Henry Rollins do stand up or do not
yeah.
stand up, but do spoken word. At your birthday
At your
party.
birthday party
Yeah.
at your house. Yeah, totally.
It's pretty awesome, pretty
Yeah,
fairly surreal, specialized Los Angeles, in the '80s kind of life.
totally, totally. And I do think that it's. I mean, I think we talked about this last week too, with Stevens, that
Mm-hmm.
there is that, like, yes, you totally have to work hard, and you have to be at the right place at the right time, and you have to take advantage of all that stuff. But there are those things that I think when you look back, you go, oh yeah, that's kind of wild that that would happen. Even when you asked like how he became friends with Henry Rollins or any of those people, and he's like, you at enough places and you see people around, and you just you talk to them enough, and I think that there's a certain part of that of like, yeah, but that's still not normal.
Yeah.
Like what sounds very normal is like,
Yeah.
but still, you still have to be in that like level of like, oh, I want to play music with this person and have the confidence and the kind of like, I don't know, skill, not necessarily
Have some
skill, but
kind of
like the
plan.
confidence and the
Some
push.
vision or something. You're like, this would be
Exactly.
really good. This
Vision
would be
is
cool if this worked out. Let me go try
totally.
this.
And like, I have the confidence that I can do it with this person, and like all of his stuff with Nels Klein and all of those people, like he always just kind of popped up. Like even when I'm going to forget the guy's name now. I went to see him play at, which venue was it at? I don't know, somewhere in Silver Lake. And he was playing with an old jazz musician who, God damn
Money
it,
Mark?
I should.
No.
Old jazz, like a guy that was in a like kind of a jazz group in the 80s.
Okay.
And not Weather Report, but like that era of
Charlie Hayden or something.
And I was like, wait, what band was he in? And I'm like, oh my God, my dad used to play those records for us all the time. And it's like total, like, what is it? What's jazz and rock fusion?
Oh yeah,
like jazz fusion band. And and I'm like, oh wait, that's the guy. Wait, how's Devin playing with that guy? You know,
gotcha,
it was always this like, wait, that's okay. That's cool. And they were playing, kind of a weird, I don't even remember what the music was, but it was like, it was super cool, weird noise, kind of jazz, fusion-y, free jazz kind of thing. And then the next time I saw him was him playing completely by himself with his amp, maybe even like laying on the ground. Or like,
this
or no,
Devin.
he was on
Devin,
his,
you're talking about.
Devin, on his knees, like with his head against his amp for like 20 minutes, super, really ethereal, like completely different than the last time I saw him. And then I saw him play with you, and you guys had a completely different thing. And then I saw him play with that woman, Carla
Boslich.
Yep. And that was completely like way more kind of like active, digital kind of sounds. It's just like everything. Every time I've seen him play, it's like a totally different experience, which is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, Devin's definitely that kind of underground art chameleon in that sort of way. I was just laughing in my head. I still go back to that thing that LG from Thelma and the Sleaze said. Exactly. It was like a noise artist anonymous. A noise artist, and it's just, I think, that is so like, Devin is the classic example of that person. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I've been to so many shows where we're like the only two people in the audience, and then or the shows where we're the only two people playing and there's no one in the audience.
Yeah.
But the value of the experience is never diminished. You know what I mean? There's something so fun about this, the embracing of esoteric, experimental, maybe antisocial. I think there's something, very sort of like, this is not about, this is not a social experiment here. This is much a noise experiment or expression thing,
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because it does bring up that idea of, with music or art or anything, it's like there's the art and then there's the audience. And sometimes those things are like the audience is necessary for the art. But sometimes the audience is just like, it doesn't matter how many people are there. Like the art is the space and the time and what you're doing. And if there's people there to watch it, amazing. And if there's not people there to watch it, it doesn't really matter, because the audience is not always part of the amount of people that show up is not part of the art.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, whereas like if you're a pop musician, the audience is fully like half or more important than the whole thing, because that's what you're doing. But with a lot of this stuff, it's like, it would be great if there was 1,000 people there, I guess. I don't know. Would it change it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. No. It wouldn't change the art. It wouldn't change the music or the experience.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely one of those things that we realize, it's like the joy of it is the doing of it. You know what I mean? It's the process of making it is the reason to do it. And then, you know, once you're done, then it's done. It's that kind of process art sort of thing. It's like, there's no real further goal other than the performance or the making of the sounds. And then it's like, okay, cool. I've exhausted this. Now on to the next thing, but it's not like a future goal in mind of it all.
Yeah. I mean, I think like when we had the gallery, it's like, that was such a big part. Like we would have those shows that, you know, 300 people would show up or whatever, and they were really popular shows. But then we would also have events that we'd have people come in to play. You came in and played. A couple of people that really were just for us. We're like, yeah, we're going to promote this and everything, but we want Randy to come in and just play so we can sit and be like, cause we have a space. Like, we'd never have a space. Like we have a space to invite people to play. Things. Like, come play. What do you want to play? Whatever you want to play.
Yeah.
We just want to sit and watch and hang out and give people a space to experiment on something. Cause also things do sound different when you play them outside of your practice space or whatever. Mm-hmm. They can seem so amazing, and then you go to play and you go, oh my god, this is way too long. Okay, I gotta cut half of this out. Or like oh, this is really working, this is great, it sounds better in a big open space. Or
there's something about it, there's that thing too of just, it's almost like a flip of a switch in your head where it's like, you know, this is now for public consumption versus you know, private sort of like rehearsal or practicing or something. That's like, okay, there's an acknowledgement of the artist, even if there's not much of an audience there, but it's still this like, okay, this is me in performing voice, you know, or something. Or if you're going to like recite or a spoken word piece or read something or doing a reading versus just, you know, being at home, talking to yourself, muttering in a corner, you know, it's almost the same sort of thing with playing music. Like, okay, I'm just going through the figure. Okay, I got it. Could do this, could do that. Okay. And then you perform. It's this like performative. It's very much in that kind of way. Like you assume the position of like, I'm going to present this to you no matter what it sounds like, or still there's an intention. I think that sort of changes in that regard.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think like it's different when you think of something, like something sounds so great in your head, and then when it comes out of your mouth, you go, wait, I have to learn, I have to figure out how to communicate these thoughts or these notes or whatever to where they make sense to other people, maybe.
Yeah.
Or where they're like, where I can communicate this in some way that is, and sometimes even just having a space, it makes you finish something too. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, this is going to give me a goal to finish this thing I've been working on. So that's it. I need this done by Friday.
I mean, I listen to Mark Maron all the time, and, you know, he always talks about his process is like kind of getting up on stage and having a rough idea, but then the idea is the pressure of being on stage in front of people, sort of, he has to find the joke or he has to find the punchline in that sort of space. Like without that pressure of being in front of people, he probably wouldn't write that joke that way.
Yeah.
But having
everything would just be fine.
Yeah. It's a funny premise, but until you're up there and then you got to go, bada bing, bada boom, or, you know, and then you end it on this, and then, hey, now I found the beat, I found the button for the joke,
right?
You know? So I think a lot of that can happen, with music stuff too. You know, it's like just that sort of.
Well, how did you guys in No Age, like when you guys were writing stuff? Because I feel like you guys always were like on the fence of like making weird, arty, kind of noisy ideas, and then also you had some really kind of catchy poppy like riffs and hooks, vocals and everything, but I feel like every album it kind of swayed a little bit one way or the other. Mm-hmm. How did you guys like plan that kind of stuff out, or were you just going for what you?
It was a little bit of both. Yeah, I think there was, you know, it was the kind of thing, you know, we'd get together to practice like every band does. You know, you sort of start with a jam or something and just like everybody starts making sounds and just to try to warm up. And sometimes you go, oh, that's a good idea. We should build on that one, or that's a riff, or that's a thought, or, you know, you try to keep a little like running list of like stuff. We always would have like we used to have like a boom box just with a cassette recorder in it. You just hit record and just record an hour of jamming, and then somebody would go back and listen to it, or you at least say you would go back and listen to it and go, oh yeah, there's one part that sounds good when you've relearned that part, or so that was the one thing, you kind of have a third party sort of editing view of it, and then try to go, this part sounds good, we should that should be an intro, or that should be the chorus, and then write a verse that goes with that part. You can kind of see things that stick out and you can use it as a building block. And so then, or their intent of like, oh, I heard this song I really like, we should write something like that. Sort of have a reference and go, oh, cool. Yeah. Well, they're kind of doing this thing here. Let's something in this kind of tempo, or just kind of have that a response to another piece of music. You're like, oh yeah, I like that too. It makes me feel like this, or I would do a version like this of that, not a straight cover or like a sound alike, but just inspired by sort of thing. So there's moments like that, but then in terms of like where the sort of the noodling and the abstractness would come, I think it's in that same sort of way of like, oh, I just have this weird repetitive noise thing I want to try. Like we play something along with this, and so it's like different songs have different reasons to exist, and I think we always like the idea of a record being a little bit varied and sort of all over the place, and not just having what the same kind of song repeating 10 times in a row. Try to switch it up and have enough different songs, and then we'd have recordings, or we'd have practices, or like something, we're like, let's finish writing that song, or let's practice that new song, let's see if it really works. And then other times we just would be at a place like, let's just make weird sounds. Let's just, I'd sit with like, we'd sit with the samplers and stuff, and like I'd sit on the pedal board and just kind of make weird bleeps and bloops and sounds and things, and we'd both look at each other like, oh, that's pretty good, and then we'd record it into a sampler, or record it onto the computer, or record it into a pedal, capture it. And then so we'd spend a day just like making a bunch of things, and then put those aside. And then when we were writing a song that's kind of sounded catchy, it's like, oh yeah, well the chorus comes in, it's an A. Like, let me see do I have any of those little pieces that are in the key of A, or that would sound good with this. And I'd kind of go through and play a bunch of weird sounds, and then something would hit, and you're like, oh my god, that's so fucked up, that's disgusting. Use that for sure. That's great. That's got to be in the chorus. Now we found our chorus part. So a lot of trial and error, of just finding, but I think we like that sort of the mistake as the hook sort of part, at least for those first two records.
Right. Like a thing that sounds like, I mean, cause there's definitely parts where you guys, when you'd listen to those songs, like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird, like,
yes.
Or, yeah.
And
then seeing you live and realize like, Dean's like hitting a sampler during that part, or like, oh, that's an actual, that wasn't like, it was an accident, but
the tape didn't,
but you had to like learn how to play it
yeah.
live, and you actually brought it in. Yeah. I love that though. I love that, like the kind of collage aspect of like building songs.
There's definitely a version of our live show that just sounds like a Carl Stockhausen sort of, experiment. If we took away the drums and the guitar, and Dean and I just triggered samples in time with each other and loops and things. There's a whole other kind of experimental noise show happening simultaneous to the kind of the Ramones My Bloody Valentine cover band, the show that's also happening. There's a punk shoegazy, there's a noise punk band playing, and there's also this other just straight noise.
So there's like two bands kind of playing at the same time.
Kind of. Yeah. I guess that's a good way of thinking of it. He's got a sampler, but we when we started the band, we had that in mind, because I think we thought about being a two-piece, but not necessarily wanting to be a stripped down blues stomping around, or White Stripes, Black Keys, this sort of thing that was happening at the time, or even necessarily like Lightning Bolt, this big sort of
so crazy
duo thing. Like we wanted something that's resembled traditional punk music, but also had this other element of like a 4 or 5 piece band. Like the band we had before was a 3-piece, but we'd have a fourth guy in the beginning who would trigger weird sounds. Like we liked the kind of the Black Dice sort of like experimental, sort of just sound collage-y sort of thing that would happen with bands like Black Dice, or even Animal Collective. That kind of just, what are these sounds? It's backwards things happening, and so I always liked that sort of sound collage element. And so when we started the band, we both had mixers, like a little 4-channel Behringer mixer, so that then we could just run different things through that, whether it's pedals or drones or feedback or loops. And then and I had a sampler. I bought my first sampler when I was 14, so it was in like 95. Went to Guitar Center and bought like a Roland SP202, And it was just really fun. Just, I liked the Beastie Boys. I liked, some electronic music and hip hop music. And, and so this idea of like, oh, you sample things, and just found old thrift store records, like hypnotizing yourself to stop smoking, or like, Henry Mancini, Sounds of the South Seas, you can find these kind of like old thrift store things, and like, cool, you can make cool samples and loops and things. And if you have that thing, the weird thing, and then just try to find a drum machine or pattern, and so it's always been fun. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to come out of that, to like come to start at that. Cause I know that you have tons of tapes that you were making in your bedroom as a kid and making weird soundscapes and all that. But to transfer that and like the love of all this noise music and knowing Devin and all of those people in that whole scene, and then also going, yeah, but I want to make a punk band that people want to listen to also, but not just going like, well, I'm going to do this thing on the side and my punk band's going to be over here. But really like
put them on top,
because I do think you guys are like the perfect amalgamation of that. Even your live shows, it's like so catchy and everybody's going crazy. And then you cut into like some crazy sounds, and you're like, wait, is Randy playing that, or is that a sample?
Is he tuning his guitar, or is he playing
his guitar? Is this guitar making that sound? Wait, no, Dean is hitting that.
Yeah.
Wait, Dean's playing the drums. Where is that coming from? And you have like a helmet on, and you're like, whatever. Yeah. And it was always just like organized chaos.
Yeah.
Just enough organized chaos that like if you just wanted to go see a punk band, that was totally fine, and you could get that energy out of it. But also all the weirdos who wanted to sit on the side and just like try to figure out the pedals and look at your pedal board. I'm sure every show you're like, so wait, what's that one that has the tape on?
Yep.
Do you have are you going through 9 volt? So did you take your 9 volts down to like 70% to not overload the, those kids. You guys can also go like, here, I could talk to you for an hour about every single pedal and like the power supplies and everything.
I've always had fun with that too, because I've always tried to make my pedal board not super secretive. You know what I mean? It's pretty out there, but it's also makes me laugh when I look at it. I'll put dumb stickers on it or the weird things, but yeah, I always love that. After playing a show and there's like the people lingering, I'll be like, "You want to talk pedals? You want to come up and look at this? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What's going on?" And because I do it to other people too. I see bands and I want to look and see what they're doing and what they have.
Yeah.
They always hit that one when it sounds really good. What's that boost? What's this one? What's that one? And there's a million pedal companies out there. Some of the people we've had, Death by Audio and Earthquaker and all these great people. But it's there's so much cool stuff out there. And so I was always curious. That's how I learned a lot. Just by looking at other people's stuff and just messing around. But my pedal board looks weird. Kind of on purpose and it's kind of practical. But in my mind, it makes total sense. But it's been decades and decades of time consuming things of like, there's a smarter way to do it all, but I don't like it. I don't like the smarter way. I like the dumb way that I can do it, because
you want the fun way.
Well, or once you get too rigid into something, then you need to have somebody else control it. Then you need a tech to like be in charge of it, because I can't do it all at the same time. Or if one thing breaks, you have to take the whole thing apart and start from scratch, just because one thing failed. So I think kind of having it scrappy and a little bit like just velcroed onto a piece of wood, it's like I have a masonite, like you put on a skate ramp. I realize that's like thin enough, but still strong enough.
Yeah.
I downsized my pedal board in the last, 10 years just for ease of travel.
I remember having like an hour-long conversation about,
like,
oh my God, come here, hold on, you got to see this. Yeah.
I figured it out.
So all those little pedals that I found,
pedals.
like I found the micro pedals,
1598 enclosures.
Yeah. Like I got everything into the size of a carry-on.
Yes.
Other than my guitar.
Yeah. The micro pedal revolution is here. But I was really inspired by that Pelican thing. I heard an interview with Lee Ronaldo, and he talked about downsizing, because they were, at the height of Sonic Youth, they had like a 14-person crew or something. They would freight all of their amps across the seas to Europe. You know what I mean? And same with Fugazi. These guys, it was a whole different world in the 90s, where commercial travel wasn't as easy, but there was also a lot more money in all these kinds of things, and you could have a production budget that would include freighting amps instead of renting a backline. You would put all your stuff in flight cases and ship it over there, and then you'd have people responsible for building your drum kit every night and building your amps and your pedal board every night. And so, but Lee said once Sonic Youth was done, that then he kind of had to figure out what his small independent guy thing is. And so he said he got everything to fit into a Pelican. I'm like, okay, if Lee Ronaldo can do it, I can do it too. What would Lee do?
Right there.
Yeah.
WWLD.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's so cool though. Because I do love, as the more that everything kind of goes digital and computers and everything else, that I feel like that's what makes all the little special things pop out. Like, as things went more digital, all of a sudden people went, oh, well, now the technology's smaller, so we can actually remake all of these old pedals and the sounds into these little tiny pedals.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just revolutionized. Then there's all these pedal companies, and there's all these, and like to redo what everybody only thought, like, well, a pedal has to be the size of your foot.
You're right.
And now you can get all these smaller pedals, and then they're a little bit cheaper, and that,
oh my God,
that opens you up to
we live in
stuff.
A golden age of guitar pedals now. I hope it's not. My fear would be that for someone younger or for someone new to it, is that it feels intimidating because there's a million pedals, and you're like, what do I buy? What do I spend my money? And they're not cheap, I guess when I say gold, but there are some cheap ones. But I mean, you could get away with a really inexpensive, good sounding pedal board, for under $200 probably, and something that sounds really close to your favorite artist. You could put something together pretty easy. So I don't know. I just think it's a golden age. And then as you are as specific as you want to be, there's somebody out there who's making that pedal for you, the version of that pedal from that one year, from that one factory that did that one thing. You know what I mean? And I think, and everyone's so open and talking about it. There's so much guitar pedal media around.
Yeah.
I think, for the most part, I think it's a very inclusive, very welcoming space, more or less as well. I think at least there's the media that I consume feels very conscious about including people of all genders and of all backgrounds, and really trying to make it a cool space in that technology sort of creative world that I think it's awesome. I mean, not to bemoan back in my day kind of thing, but growing up, it was to go to Guitar Center and have to listen to a bunch of Shreddy Van Halen kind of things, and like, I'd like to get a pedal, like, okay, like, here, you should get this flange, man, because this flange is gonna do this thing. It's like, I don't know what.
Or they'd be like, yeah, sure,
whatever, dude.
They're like, well, what about this? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Oh, what about this? What is just different between these two distortions? I only play acoustic, man.
Right.
I don't know. Go somewhere else.
Didn't have time for the kid to ask him any
questions.
Okay. But I loved it. But they always had the thing that was cool about Guitar Center is they would have like each company, like Boss or DoD or whoever, would have their like pedal display
pedal
with
wall.
all the pedals like plugged into each other. You try to turn them all on at once and do this, and I'm sure it's torture. It's a living hell for the people working there. You just get an endless stream of 10-year-olds and 14-year-olds. Pressing all the pedals on at once, and then. But that was at least something. You could get your hands on something. You could make a sound.
Oh,
hear what it did.
No,
I love
totally.
that. That was hugely valuable for me as a kid. Just like, you need to hear it. You need to twiddle the knobs. You need to turn the things to know what it is you're buying and what it does or what it doesn't do.
The fact that at Guitar Center they would just let you grab a guitar off the wall, and they would give you a cord to plug it into any combo amp.
Yeah.
On the whole floor.
It's great.
And just go like, just don't play it too loud.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and like, you don't even know how to play guitar. They could come and give you a pick to just jam out right in the middle of the floor. It's pretty amazing.
It was a beautiful thing.
You are right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like one of my first corporate clients. I shot for Guitar Center for like 3 years. Weird buddy head connection, actually.
Oh, so funny.
Like this guy, Kyle, who ended up being like one of the art directors there, just knew my photos from buddy head stuff.
That's amazing.
And but then back then they had to be like, this happened multiple times where people would go like, hey, come on in and get hired to shoot. And they're like, well, so we just have to make sure though that to sign this thing that says you won't give out anybody's phone numbers. because Buddyhead used to like put phone numbers on their gossip
God.
page.
Oh Jesus.
which is how kind of like that was right at the time that I was so I had moved here in 2000, and so that era of like 2000 to 2002, Buddyhead, which is now like a big political, Travis has his own thing online or on Instagram and stuff, but back then, and this is also how I met Dean, right? Because Dean did
sex column,
a column like sex advice, and then which is funny, but then so just everybody had these little columns that they would write, but it was cool. The interviews were fun, they were cool, and then you'd shoot photos of all these bands, and so people knew my name from that, so they knew my photos from that website. But they started doing a gossip column back then, and half of the gossip column was just putting like Fred Durst's phone number up, and people would start send that stuff to Travis and Aaron, and
send celebrities' phone numbers.
Yeah, because they would like it would be like they would work for them, and they'd get fired,
pissed,
or they'd get pissed, and they'd be like, "I'm going to send the phone number." So it'd be like Marilyn Manson's phone number, and Fred Durst's phone number, whatever. It was all of that, or people would send in photos and stuff. So that became during that era when then I also started getting some clients and shooting. That became a couple things, like shooting for a couple record labels, and they were like, "So we just need you," and I'm like, "Trust me, I'm not the one doing that." It is funny.
I'm not the guy.
It is funny, and this is how things work. But it was a couple times I had to sign NDAs that said that I would not give out any corporate information. That's very funny. But anyway, Kyle, so he had hired me a couple times, but then that's how like I shot Dave Rat for those when they would send out, they send out like the drum guide and they send out the guitar guide.
I haven't gotten one of those in years.
I know. I don't know if they do them anymore, but so I would do like the recording guide, and it was cool. Actually, it was a good era of Guitar Center because they were kind of trying to do their own magazine a little bit. So they had brought in these art directors and creative directors from the music industry to try to do like, they did like a legitimate story on Dave Rat and an interview. And so I took portraits and photos of his studio, and then he has his top 10 gear, and then they say, here's all the stuff. Here's his mics, and
buy an SM57.
But I shot like Questlove for the guitar or the drum guide.
It's huge.
And a bunch of other people. So I got to do all the fun stuff. But then that was all at the time where, when you drive by the Guitar Center, there was all the portraits on the outside. Right. And they'd be like, "Wait, so you shoot like those crazy portraits on the outside of Guitar Center?" And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing. I shot like Tommy Lee for the drum guide once.
Oh, that's cool. Who was the portrait photo guy? Who was the giant photos on the outside of the
film? I met him. He was the guy, like that's kind of all he shot in like the 80s and 90s. I don't know. But then they got an in-house guy who was awesome. And it was way cheaper to pay someone full time. And he was great. And he like redid their whole internal, all that stuff. And he was awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Guitar Center got bought out, or something's changed. I feel like they've had different corporate people, or Sam Ash recently got bought out.
They were losing. Even when I probably shot on and off for them for like 5 years, and would come in every once in a while and do something, like once a year or something, and do. But I remember talking to a couple of those guys when they were Guitar Center, when Amazon became big. This is how long ago this was. And Amazon started selling everything other than books. And then Guitar Center was kind of going down a little bit, and talking to them, and their biggest competition was Amazon. Wow. So it wasn't even like Sam Ash or anything like that. They're like, we're trying to compete with Amazon, which is impossible. So
it's crazy.
Who knows? Yeah. I don't know, man.
I know. I still get those phone calls from the guy from Sweetwater. Like, "Hey, what's up, man? Just checking in. This is Chris from Sweetwater. What's going on? You need any gear? How's that pack of Ernie Ball Super Slinky 9s that you bought 6 years ago?
Yeah.
How's that medium gauge Tortex pick pack you bought.
Yeah. Great, man.
Oh,
super sick.
Still working. You got that special 3-pack of patch cables still working for you? What else? You need anything else? You need a $4,000 PRS guitar? You need a Signature Series guitar? No?
It's lime green.
So. Nope. Don't think I do, though. Thanks for checking in, though. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, man. We'll just let you know I'm your personal guy. So anytime you need anything, just go ahead and save this phone number and just give me a call.
Yeah.
It must work or they wouldn't do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, nice yeah.
I've had a couple of Guitar Center guys. I think they tried to pull that move too. They didn't seem as into it as Sweetwater.
No,
Sweetwater think it's all those warheads, all that candy. They keep them fed on. When you get your Sweetwater package, it always comes with a little pack of warheads with candy in it. Yeah. Literal sugar. They probably have on the call center. Everybody's just hopped up on sugar and sweet sour candies.
Someone must have done they must have done the numbers on that. I'm like, I think the candy's working, guys. We're just gonna keep it. I got a good deal, or they probably own the company that also does
the same thing.
Warheads.
So it's a 2-for-1. It's promotion. Write it off. It's a tax write-off for the candy company. It's a loss leader, and for us, just that good feeling of when you buy something, you get sugar in your mouth.
They really care about me.
Psychophysiological, sales tactic. Like, I don't know why. I just feel so good. I just want to buy something from them. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Just a little, some drumsticks.
They know what they're doing. They're no dummies. Small. Well, I think that was the big thing too. Amazon made it feel like not a big deal to buy shit online. You know what I mean? I think that was for our generation. There was such the leap of like, wait, I'm going to give my credit card to a computer website. Right. That's where the bad people live. That's where all the pirates and the robbers are. Like, why? It was told to never give your social security number or your credit card number to anybody online. Yeah. And now here it is. This company was like, but again, that's the same thing with Elon Musk. I mean, these are where these billionaires came from. They made it the thing that seems so scary to do. Like, well, hey, you don't even have to give us your credit card number. We just log in with your PayPal. Somehow PayPal was not scary. And then you
give PayPal your credit card number.
Yeah. Yeah, just one place credit cards. You don't have to give everyone else a credit card. So you got one credit card and you get one site where you buy everything from. And somehow that just did the trick and fucking tanked an entire global economy.
Oh my God. The amount of times during a day where something pops into my mind that I'm like, oh, I wonder how much that is. And I just like open up Amazon and go like, oh yeah, rubber stamps.
Yeah, I bought one of those.
Of course they sell those on Amazon, carvable rubber stamp pads.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's pretty cheap. I should get some of those just to see like the amount of stuff that like, that didn't work out. Well, it was only $12.
Yeah, whatever. No big deal. But it's a funny one too. I mean, do you ever find yourself like, I feel like I'm like one of those like out of touch rich people where I'm like, does a thing of shampoo cost $14 at the store?
You have no idea.
Or is that double? And how long ago am I going to think about this till I just buy it anyway? Like, why am I buying shampoo online? Because I can't go to the store. And there was the good one I liked last time, or something like that. Or does this is what I was doing yesterday. The silly string came into thing as like, safe thing for kids to make a mess with in the summertime for 4th of July. So we had one can, and of course the can goes in about 3 minutes. I'm like, we need another one. I'm like, that's the only one there is. We just bought one came with your toy. So then I'm looking on Amazon, waiting for Danny Trejo to come down and wave at everybody at the parade. And I'm looking and I go, okay, I need to buy silly string. This should be a game. You and I, this should be a segment we have.
Yeah.
What?
How much?
How much is a case of 24 cans of silly string?
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, you definitely looked it up and a 12-pack came up. There
should be a 12-pack. First, there should be a 2-pack. You got a 2-pack, then you get a 12-pack, and then there's a 24-pack.
Well, let's see. If you instantly saw the 2-pack and were like, no, that means it's pretty cheap. So I'm going to say a 24-pack of silly string is $48.
$44.95.
Oh,
yeah. The close, right? But then the 2-pack was like $8.
Yeah, of course.
And then the 12
probably $8.96.
12-pack was like $35 for 12.
So then they get you that 24-pack. You're like, it's only $8 more, $12 more.
for double the amount. And knowing my kids, you know, I mean, they're going to use 2 of them and then never look at it again. It'll live above the washer and dryer in the laundry room.
Well, next time you see Danny Trejo and you want to get in a fight, you can silly string him.
There it is. Yeah. Hopefully
he go down to Trejo's Tacos.
Oh my God. We should go leave some water balloons at the Danny Trejo, a bucket of water balloons. It's like next time you come to Sunland, come packed. Come bring in the heat, or don't come at all.
He definitely is going to have to make some kind of like internet joke about this, and definitely be like packed up with like full like vest with like water balloons and like, and I mean, it's actually a perfect moment for him to be like, listen, guys, okay,
this is
come on, I'm 80. I still get triggered.
I can't believe he's 80.
Still get triggered by like, this is in my DNA now from
I think that he just
where I grew up.
He took it as disrespectful. He got hit with a water balloon in his nice car.
1,000%.
And it is disrespectful.
And you probably would be, because you're coming in there. You got a little bit of an ego. I mean, you know, or a lot of an ego. You're Danny Trejo.
You're asked to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get disrespected by the whole town by getting hit with a water balloon, and then everybody laughing at you. Oh my God. I mean, that must have been the biggest trigger ever. Like the things that went through his head when that happened, probably like his whole childhood probably went through his head of like, no, this doesn't happen anymore.
Nope. I'm going to rip this fucking guy's head off.
Let's go. Yep. Yeah.
I'm starting to get the sense that Sunland Tahunga is a little bit of the Philadelphia of LA. You know, we just can't have nice things. You know, you come to Sunland, you're going to get your robot's head kicked in.
Oh my God.
You can't have fun here. You can't. Santa Claus is going to get a brick thrown at him if you come to Sunland.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sunland has a little bit of that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So that little bit of that Philly chip. Yeah.
It is interesting once you get outside of the city, like every little town kind of has its own chip that it's dealing with. Like we get it up here too. It's like that there's the idea of like that it's there's difficulty that comes with living here.
Yeah.
Just on the mountain, and there's a bunch of different little towns, or there's 4. And but that there's a difficult, like that comes with a difficulty. And then the longer that you live here, the more you've dealt with the difficulty of living here. And then that puts something in people's heads that is just like, okay, now I'm here. But here's what that definition is something different.
It changes you. It changes you into something else.
Yeah, like your expectations become different. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think I was in LA for so long that like at least that part of LA that we're all in, like that difficulty thing doesn't exist as a community of like, because you kind of have everything there. Like there's not like you're not traveling. Like there's always a grocery store close.
Yeah.
The weather is fine.
Those particular hardships just don't exist.
Yeah. Like those things of like, well, we live up here. So like, literally when our computer printer goes down, there isn't a place to get anything.
Yeah.
Like even down the hill. I'm like, my biggest issue right now is trying to get printer ink in less than 3 days. That's amazing. It doesn't exist. I've had to drive down.
Maybe you need to start a collective sort of like general store of like a modernist general store of like the basic needs of things like pens, pencils, paper,
of like all
paper,
the weird
ink.
Stuff.
Yeah, the things that you find yourself just being like, fuck, I don't want to drive down the hill for this.
Yeah, printer ink.
And then you just put a 15% mountain tax on it, and then you just that's it. It's like,
the
you can order on Amazon, but it's going to take 3 days, or we're right here.
Amazon small store.
Yep.
Small store.
Something. Yeah, just pack up on stuff, and then or you can even just have your own, just run it out of the house. Just people know, like, hey, just come by the house. I got a garage full of stuff. What do you need?
Yeah. People like get together and talk about their love of Trader Joe's.
Oh, yes.
Like that kind of stuff of like, oh,
you need Trader errands.
I'm like, are you going to Trader Joe's? Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Can you give me those chocolate covered pretzels?
You need to have a little Trader Farley's.
So funny.
Trader Farley's out of your garage. Just, hey, I went down there. I spent $10,000. It's going to go bad in like,
just snacks.
a year. Yep.
I need the place with all the
snacks and printer
Trader
ink.
Joe's snacks.
Yep.
Snacks and printer ink. That's
a couple
it.
bottles of wine, a couple lighters.
I mean, we have all that stuff. You know, we have all the the good, like the basics at the grocery store and all that. But it's the like weird
stuff.
little things where you're like, oh, if I could only get printer ink.
Yes, always printer ink.
And then that starts a whole spiral of like, what else do I need on it?
Well, I'm
like
doing it
right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 3 days for. Strange size envelopes.
Yes.
Cardboard
boxes. It's a stationery
boxes.
store. It's a stationery store. Yeah, it totally works. You should do it.
Yeah. Cardboard boxes. Bubble wrap.
Find the void and fill it. Find the need and fill it. If that's where the need is, then you go.
Yeah. Do I really have to drive down the hill to get special tape?
No.
Yes, you do. You do.
Trader Farley's is open for business.
Yeah.
Weird tape.
We have
printer ink.
Weird tape, bubble wrap, cardboard boxes.
This is my kind of store. This is the shit.
Printer ink,
yeah,
and snacks. Strange, funny snacks.
Oh, I like this.
Weird snacks.
You got me. I'm in.
Yeah, good frozen, strange frozen food that is not in the abnormal frozen food items.
abnormal basics. Abnormal basics to Trader Farley's.
Yeah.
They're basics, but they're weird. For the weird.
Yeah, right.
Ones. Yeah.
The weird basics.
The weird basics. Yeah.
Trust me, you'll find something that you wished you would have. That you're glad you don't have to drive down the hill for.
Yes. Yeah. It's good, but not that good. You don't want to drive down the hill for it. But if it's here,
it's called Up the Hill.
You should have Up the Hill. Yeah.
The store Up the Hill. No, you just have to drive up the hill for it.
Go to the Up the Hill store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, I will see you next Monday. I think we got Danny Perez coming up this Thursday. He is an incredible artist, very weird filmmaker, very strange filmmaker. He did the Animal Collective film Odd Sack, and he's done live visuals for Animal Collective and Black Dice, and made a bunch of weird, strange films. And he has now a musical act on his own, DSPS, and he's out on tour this summer on the East Coast. So we made sure we got the episode up in time for those dates. So,
all right.
Go see Danny Perez out on tour, and he's coming up. You'll hear the interview on Thursday, and we'll be talking about him next Monday.
Cool.
Yep. Awesome,
see
man.
You, Randy.
All right, I'll see ya. Bye.